7 years ago, 1992, in Detroit, Michigan, 11-year-old boy named Jake Peak was killed by a gunshot when a robber broke into his family's house, trying to steal some of their expensive belongings. The robber had gotten away, but with nothing worth the trouble in his hands. He was later found trying to rob a bank, and was put in life for prison. I was a newborn the day the event occurred. I had just come from my mother's stomach in the hospital. I was named John Beck. 7 years after I was born, I just moved into a new house with my mother, father, and both of my brothers. Our house was placed in a fine and peaceful little neighborhood in Taylor City, Michigan. We had moved here because my dad got a job at a nearby school, Eureka Heights. I and my 8-year-old brother, Derek, and my 9-year-old brother, Shane, were actually attending that school. My mom had also gotten a job at a barber shop, not too far from the school. We didn't know our neighbors much, but they were very peaceful and seemingly happy people. A few weeks after we moved in and got used to the new home, the 4th of July came along, and the Taylor City Park was having a fireworks festival in honor of the anniversary. So, in respect to this day, we decided to go. We set up our picnic blanket and our extendable lawn chairs and waited for the fireworks. Right now, we only saw the carnival in front of us, but we couldn't afford tickets for the rides. So, to kill boredom, we decided to socialize with other families around our setup. We met this one family right next to us. There was one mother, one father, one son, and one daughter in that family. We actually got along very well, and talked about various things. 4th of July, stuff on the news, you name it. We had talked so long that we didn't even know it was nighttime until the fireworks went off. After the fireworks, we packed off and drove the car back home to rest for the night. And the next morning of Tuesday, since there was no school that day, I was sent outside to mow the lawn as a chore thing. After I ate breakfast and got my stuff ready to go outside, I went to the garage to get the lawnmower. After I got the lawnmower out of the garage and got it to the front lawn, I noticed a man at the house directly on the other side of the street, watering his plants on his front lawn. It was the father of that family ours met last night. He looked over to me and smiled. "Oh, hey, you're that kid my family met last night. You guys live there?" he asked in a happy tone. Yeah, this is where my family lives." I responded in a somewhat nervous way, not knowing why. "Ah, well, that's great. Say, you look like a young boy. Why are you mowing the lawn at your age?" he asked. It's a normal thing. My 9-year-old brother was mowing the lawn at 5. It seems my dad wants us to be hard workers," I responded. "Yeah, well, your dad's teaching you how to be a young man. And back in my day, we worked crops and farms all day, and we only went to school when it rained," he exclaimed happily. I noticed he seemed to be in his 40s. And suddenly my father walked out of the front door. He noticed the man looking to me, and greeted him. "Well, I'll be," my father said as the man approached our front lawn. "How are you?" "Oh, not too bad. Your son was just telling me about how much you want him and your boys to be hard workers," the man said as he shook my father's hand. "Yeah, well, I don't want them to be slackers. Oh, and I don't think we introduced you to our family. I'm Bill Beck, and my son over there is John Beck. My other family members are inside, if you would like to meet them," my father said. "Oh, I'm watering my wife's plants at the moment. Perhaps later?" the man said. "Well, alright then. Oh, my name is Jonathan Peak, by the way." "Oh, okay. Your son is in my class, actually." "That's good to know. Catch you later." "See you later, sir." My dad walked to the car and drove off, and the man, or Jonathan, went back to watering his wife's plants. After I was done mowing the lawn, I went back inside and did, well, what any other 90s kid did. Play N64 games all day. The next day, I went back to school, and found the daughter and son of that man's family in the hallway. They were walking together. They didn't seem to be 2 years older than me. I put my hand up, waved, and said hi. They responded. "Oh hey, my name is Jack Peak, and this is my sister Elizabeth." "You're the kid we met 2 days ago. What's your name?" the son asked. "I'm John Beck." "So your name is John. Well, good to meet you, John. Would you like to come over to our house tomorrow and hang out?" the son asked. Yeah, sure, if my parents will let me, I said. Okay, hope to see you there, Elizabeth said. After school, I asked both my parents if I could go over to their house, and they both said yes. I walked over, knocked on their door, and was invited in. I was greeted by Jack, but Elizabeth wasn't there. Hello, Jack said. Hey, I said back to him. Where's Elizabeth? She's downstairs, doing the laundry with my mom. I just got done doing the dishes with my dad. Oh, alright then, I said. She'll be back up soon. Let's go upstairs and play video games in my room, said Jack. We went upstairs to his room. Before we went into his room, though, he showed me some of the rooms up there. One led to his room, one led to the bathroom, one led to the guest room, one led to the parents' room, and the other led to Elizabeth's room. However, he didn't show me the last room up there. He just skipped it. Hey, what's in that room? I asked as I pointed towards its door. He sighed. I guess I'll show you. He walked to it and opened the door. It looked like a normal bedroom. It had a bookshelf with tons of books. And next to it had a few game systems, like an N64 and a Game Boy next to that. It had a dresser and had a bed, and a desk next to that. And on that desk was a book that whoever stayed here hadn't finished yet. The Last Book in the Universe, by Rodman Philbrick. It was on chapter 7. Who sleeps here? I asked. Jack sighed. No one. What do you mean? This room was made in memory of my once older brother, who died 7 years ago. His name was Jake, and he was 11 when it happened, February 5th, 1992. My eyes widened. I was born on that date. He continued. Someone tried robbing our house back in Detroit. The criminal failed to steal anything, but he was able to kill my brother before he got away. Luckily, he was put in prison for the rest of his life. A few tears ran down his eyes. Did you say February 5th, 1992? I was born on that date. He looked at me. I could see the sadness in him. No, he said in a little amazement. Really? Yeah, I said. He looked back to his front. There was a short silence between us until I continued the conversation. This person seemed to have a lot of books. From the looks of it, he didn't finish The Last Book in the Universe, did he? I love that book. I like to read. Yeah, he also liked to write. I would show you his stories, but they were accidentally deleted from his computer when we were moving here 3 years ago. And he didn't print them, unfortunately. Oh, well, that sucks. I like to write poems. They're what keep me happy. Really? You know, you're just like him in a way. You both had a great love in literature. I can barely write a page of an essay or even read 2 chapters of a book without getting bored. And I never even expected this from a 7-year-old. He was like 5 when he got interested in this stuff, as my mother told me. I really thought he would be a genius or something when he was older. But it looks like that won't be able to happen now, he said. Well, I'm not trying to sound rude, but you need to be able to move on. Don't forget him. Just don't think about him too much. I guess asking you about this room made you remember every single thing about what happened, huh? Sorry. No, it's not your fault. I've been thinking too much about him. I go in this room every once in a while and cry about it. He was the brother that I never had time to be with. But maybe you could emulate him for me, and that, perhaps, make me forget about him. Sure. I'll be the brother that you never had, I said happily. He smiled. Well, let's go play some video games then. I nodded and went to his room.
Shortly after we got the N64 going, we popped in Mario Party, and then some other multiplayer games, like Diddy Kong Racing, Donkey Kong 64, Star Fox 64, Army Men Sarge's Heroes, and tons of others. His sister soon came in to join us, and we gladly let her join. I must have been there for hours, talking with him and his sister, just having a good time. I truly felt connected to them in some way. I did have to check in with my parents every now and then, but other than that, it was a good day. After what seemed like 5 hours, it was time for me to eat dinner at my house and go to bed. After I ate, I got on my pajamas and went to bed. In bed, I thought about today, and how fun it was. I was glad to be able to hang out with these people, although I felt a little weird hanging out with people 5 years older than I was. I then started to think about their dead sibling, Jake. Something felt a little strange about me being born on the same day he died. Was I born after or before he died? I guess I'll just have to ask about it tomorrow, I thought to myself. The next morning, after I brushed my teeth and such for school, I went to the kitchen to eat breakfast. My mom had cooked up bacon, pancakes, and eggs for our beginning of the day meal. Quite a typical breakfast, if you ask me. Anyway, as my family was eating breakfast, I asked my mom the question I thought about last night. Hey Mom, do you know the exact time I was born, like 8 p.m. or something like that? Well, I think it was somewhere around 9 o'clock. I think 8:45 or something like that. Why do you ask? She answered. Oh, nothing, I said. You wouldn't have asked the question if it were nothing. Now come on, spill it, she said with a smile. Fine, it's something I'd rather not talk about. Okay, she said, looking back at her food. After that, I went to school on the bus near my house. School there was a pretty normal day. I saw Jack a few times and we had lunch together with his sister, and we just talked and ate. While I was there eating with him, I asked Jack about the time his brother had died. He told me 42? I was shocked. I was born minutes after he died, but I got that information from them. And we just went on with our lunch. After school, I went to Jake's house with my parents' permission to play some video games. Well, that wasn't why I was really there. I was suspicious about Jake's death and I wanted to see if I could investigate. Elizabeth was eating soup at the time, and so we went upstairs with each other. But before we could play video games, he said he had to take care of some business in the bathroom. This was the perfect time. Elizabeth was having some soup, and Jack was in the bathroom. So I took this moment to go into Jake's room and see what I could do. I didn't find anything, but something very different happened. I had some type of memory or thought of writing a story on the computer. It was entitled Greenwater Earth, and was on chapter 11. Although I don't remember writing anything called that. And then I saw Jack next to me. Not in real life, but in this thought, or whatever it was. He was reading along, and I pushed him away. As I did, I saw a glimpse of the house I was in. And it looked nothing like my own, or Jack's current house. Suddenly I was shaken off this thing in my head by Jack saying, "Are you okay?" to me in real life. I seemed to have my hand on my head, and I didn't seem to blink. Yeah. I am," I said as I took my hand off my head. "What were you doing in Jake's room?" he asked suspiciously. Nothing. I just thought I heard something in here." To my surprise, a book fell off the bookshelf, so I put it back where it was. Well, thanks for being helpful with that. But why don't we just leave this room now? Yeah, sure. We played video games after that, with all three of us. I was a lot quieter than I was yesterday. I just couldn't get whatever that thing was in my head, well, out of my head. I couldn't tell if I was having a flashback or just me thinking too much about it. I went back home across the street to eat dinner, and then go to bed. After I went to bed, I realized my birthday was 1 week away. I was thinking that maybe I should go to whatever graveyard Jake was buried in to see if I could get any more clues. Next morning, I asked my mom what I wanted to do for my birthday. Mom, That family across the street had their son killed by a robber, and I most likely think he's buried in the cemetery not too far from our house. I wanted to pay my respects to this kid on my birthday. So, could we go there when my birthday comes up? I asked. Wow, really? You're such a great son, John, respecting their son's death. Of course we can go. I'll tell that family about it, she said happily. Thank you, Mom. I waited the whole week for this. I didn't really talk with Jack or Elizabeth the whole week, because I was just confused about this. We went to the cemetery with the other family and found the grave of the son. Both of our families surrounded it. Thank you, Jack's mother said. This was our son's birthday, too. Really? My mother said in astonishment. Yes, but let's all pray for him now, she said. My mother nodded, and we all put our hands together and closed our eyes. I didn't believe in God, but my family doesn't know. But I played along for this time. Dear God, Jack's father said, we pray for our son today at his grave, that he is with you, and that the man who killed him will burn in hell for eternity. He continued on, but something was happening to me. I suddenly opened my eyes, and was having the same type of moment I was in at Jack's house a week ago. Only this time, I was in the bathroom, looking at myself in the mirror. I was looking at Jake. I was brushing my teeth at what seemed like nighttime. This house seems to be two-floored, like Jack's current house, just in a different form. I stopped brushing and looked out the doorway. I walked out slowly, and looked at the clock on the wall to my left. It was 8:41 p.m. and saw a man trying to steal a golden cup on the living room table. He saw me and pulled out his gun, and before I could dodge the bullet, he shot me in the right cheek. I fell down and broke my neck on the bars next to the staircase that help you get up or down it. Suddenly, I seemed to be traveling quickly through some weird tube-like passageway. In seconds, I saw a baby and entered it. And from a third-person view, I saw my mother, giving birth to me. I suddenly went out of the flashback and back into reality. Both families were done with the prayer, and we were just about to walk away from the grave. They did, but I fell on my hands and knees. I was the boy who died. I was Jake. It seems as if my soul was transferred to this body as reincarnation. Tears were running down my eyes. My brother Derek looked at me, and I slowly raised my head to him. "Guys, something's wrong with John!" he yelled. I got up and ran to my mom. Not my current mom, but my last mom. Jake's mom. I continuously told her I was Jake, but she and everyone looked confused. I didn't know what to do.